today, obviously, we are all going through a challenging time. I don't want to say difficult, it is challenging. If we keep saying hard or difficult, we feel stuck. So, so how do we, today I want to talk about how do we find our power during these times of uncertainty, or how do we not lose power? Okay. So I'm just going to go on. Part of it is channeled as it comes through to me, and part of it is my own experience in working with patients for many, many years. Uh, so, and of course, being engaged in my own healing process, right? So lately I've been following the credo of, if I can't go outside, let me go inside, right? And I really think we all need to look at that. If we can't go outside, let's go inside. And when we go inside and we stay inside, that is when we start finding our power. We will also find our weaknesses there too. We will find our fears, our own personal uncertainties, our vulnerabilities. So what do we do with those weaknesses? We dive in. In order to find strength, we have to dive into our weaknesses. But we don't have to dive in alone. We can have somebody hold our hand and help us through it. We certainly have God helping us through it. So I want to just close your eyes if you want, and let's go inside. Good. Good. In the Western mind has this thinking that says, panic, panic, everything is out of control. In the Buddhist mind, or in the mind of someone who is centered and connected to spirit, they would say something like this: panic, panic, not panic, panic. Relax, relax, everything is out of control. Okay? So yes, everything's out of control. It kind of reminds us that we are not here permanently, that life is impermanent. Although things are out of control, we can relax about it. And what we got to do is we got to make sure that we're in control of our own emotional flow, and most importantly, of our connection to our higher self. The world is operating in the lower self, and mostly right now, the lower self is the self where there is fear, there is greed, there is selfishness, and the world is operating in that to a large extent. And people respond to trauma according to their childhood experiences. If a child had a very, very good experience, they're likely to respond to the trauma that is going around in a more optimistic way. So, good. So let's go inside and figure out how we're going to respond to all this. Good. And the best way to respond is to stay connected to the higher self. And I really want to bring that piece in today, because finding power is finding and staying connected to the higher self. So what is that? What is the higher self? It seems that you are a group of spiritual folks who have been on your spiritual journey, so you have an idea of what the higher self is, maybe even better than I do. But so let's kind of recap that. The higher self is that self within us that does not live in fear. Yes, as human beings, we experience fear, but the higher self does not know fear, because the higher self is always continually connected to spirit, to our collective consciousness, to God and Goddess. So it becomes very, very imperative that we stay connected to the higher self. Now, everybody's different. For someone, for person A, higher self may be a walk in the woods, and that plugs them in. For you, it may be going swimming. For someone else, it may be sitting in front of a candle and chanting. It's different for everyone. So find that experience that keeps you connected to your higher self. Maybe it's holding a baby, right? So take a minute, go in, and find that experience that connects you to your higher self. Good. There might be more than one experience. I mean, for many people, connecting to the higher self comes through prayer and meditation, and it can also come through activity. So it's not just sitting still. For some people, it's movement. Let's say if a sculptor, when they are sculpting something or painting something or singing, uh, they are connecting to their higher self. So I don't want you to think higher self is sitting in the meditation and saying, "Oh, good." So, so what is it that prevents you from staying connected to the higher self, right? What is it that prevents us from connecting to our higher self? Now, if we go out there and listen to the drama that's going on out there, which is drama and trauma, it's going to disconnect us from our higher self. Yes, there's a lot of pain out there. I know it personally. I just buried my mother yesterday because of COVID. So there's a lot of pain out there, but we have to surrender to the process that's going on, knowing that spirit will eventually conquer and bring us to a place of evolution that is greater than it was 3 months ago or 4 months ago. So, what is it that prevents us from staying connected to the higher self? So, go inside and take a look at that. What is it that prevents you from connecting or staying connected to your higher self? Maybe it's watching too much news, right? Whatever it is that disconnects you. Maybe it's someone who is pessimistic or lives in constant fear. Maybe it's your own childhood traumas that keep you plugged into scarcity, lack, pessimism, fear, right? So as we said earlier, we have to, healing is to, healing is about jumping and diving into that pool of pain as well as the pool of spirit. So if there are still pieces that are coming up for you right now in relation to those unfinished wounds, this is a great time to process them, right? By yourself or with the help of someone like Maya. So, good. Are you more clear as to what it is that's preventing you from staying connected to your higher self? Yes? Good. When we finish this, write those things down. Keep a diary. Keep a log of how you go in and out of your higher self. What keeps you connected? What keeps you disconnected? I don't believe there's anything more important than that, because that's really what our life is about, living from that evolved self. Good. So earlier we said that fear is really one of the lower elements, one of the lowest elements of the lower self. I mean, most people think it's greed and violence, and yes, it is, and brutality, and yes, it is. But I think when we peel the layers of the onion, we discover that the person who is brutalizing or exploiting or abusing does those acts because of fear. So you see, when we keep peeling the layers of the onion, we come down to fear. So many people's fears have come to surface. And we can say that is a blessing in disguise, because now we have an opportunity to look what's under the carpet and perhaps clean it up. Because if we don't clean it up now, we're going to have to clean it up another time, maybe another life. Good. So, what is it we need when we are all growing up and when we all feel fear? What we need is comfort, right? And guidance, and somebody to hold our hand to help us cross the bridge, right? So, do you have that? Do you have that guidance from the outside, of course, as well as the guidance from the inside, the inner guidance, which comes from your intuition? And of course, women are very connected to that, perhaps more than men, because for you it comes easy or easier. So stay connected to your inner guidance and make sure you have that support system which is your outer guidance, because we can't always be objective about ourselves. I certainly can't. There are times, although I'm a healer, I've been practicing 37 years, there are times where I need outer guidance because we're human. Being in this incarnated physical body at times keeps us away from objectivity until we become the Buddha or the Christ or the Krishna, which we will. So, what is it that connects you to an experience where, when fears come to surface and you go into that lower self, you're able to pull out of it through inner guidance and outer guidance? Outer guidance is your support system. Good. Thank you. So just sit with that for a minute. Like, I want to give you time. I want to be quiet for a few minutes so you can take all that in, and we'll continue. I know this was a lot that I just threw out there. So I want to be quiet for a little while, a few minutes. Good. So let's meditate on something that connects us to our higher self from an experience of visualization, right? Imagine you are in a place that you really love. It could be a lake, an ocean, a garden, a forest, wherever it may be. And as you're standing there taking in all that beautiful experience, just imagine that a staircase opens up for you, leading upwards. It's a staircase that is completely safe to travel on as you step one by one, going upwards. And the steps are white, like shimmering white, that is glowing and radiating. And they're made just for you. And as you take the steps higher and higher and higher, the fears disappear and its opposite comes into your experience from head to toe. And its opposite is love, self-love, fearlessness. So keep climbing the stairs and let this be your practice. Whenever you feel that you are in your lower self, climb the stairs to the higher self. Good. Good. Let's move to a new part, the part of practicality. Spirituality is a beautiful thing, but spirituality has to have practicality. How do we bring our spirituality into the earth, into our daily life, into our experiences with our families? Good. I believe this is a time when we can't go outside, we have to go inside, and therefore experience our priorities, or re-experience our priorities, or realign our priorities, right? This is a time when we are going to look at our priorities and say, what is really more important than what was once important? Or maybe your priorities aren't that different, and they are simply real, they're simply fine. But for some, the priorities are changing, I would say for most. So take a look at what it is that's happening for you, where your priorities are changing and what is becoming more important. It's really, really important to look at that from a practical spirituality. So take a look at that and see what is changing or what needs to change for you. Good. So what is changing and what needs to change for you in the area of your health, your body, your emotions, your creativity, your expression, your belief systems, your heart experiences, and the connections of those people to your heart. So what has become more important than before? It's really important to jot those things down on paper. We can't always remember those things. I call it spiritual diary. This is a good time to go in and find out, what is my purpose here? Maybe you already know your purpose, but maybe at this time you can find out how that purpose is becoming more clarified for you, or perhaps even more directed. What is my mission? What is my purpose? Why am I here? How am I supposed to contribute to myself and to others? How am I supposed to serve? Serving others is the highest calling on planet Earth. We grow a lot through service, a great, great deal. So how do I serve? How do I contribute? How do I move myself to higher ground? These are really great questions to ask now that we all have the time, as we are indoors or away from most people. Good. And lastly, I want to touch on the subject of faith, right? This is the time when we discover and experience that our faith in ourselves is the most important thing that we are working on, to have faith in ourselves. And in order to have faith in ourselves, we must trust. our gut instincts. Faith operates on 4 levels: faith in myself, faith in God, the higher power, faith in tomorrow. That's the practical side of faith. To have faith in tomorrow. Tomorrow may mean tomorrow, the next day, or it may mean the next year or the next month. And of course, faith in a community that we connect with, faith in those that we trust, that we have brought into our lives and into our hearts. So as we go through this experience of isolation, uncertainty, we are working on a number of things, whether we are aware of it or not. We are working on faith in ourselves, faith in God, faith in tomorrow, faith in our support system. We are working in aligning and staying connected to our higher self and stepping away from the lower self of fear and pessimism. Good, good. A lot of my work is sound healing, and for a few minutes, I just want to bring that in as we come to our conclusion. And I want you to just let yourself experience the sound healing. When I do seminars in groups, I tune into the energy of the group, and I am given the information as to which sound, which words are going to be of most use and effective for the group. So I'd like to do that presently. So just be open and take it in if you'd like to. Yatawa yao, wataya, yawa yawa. Amen. Thank you for listening and being attentive and receiving.